Hey Will, I'm going to help you out with the IXL lessons that Mrs. Z said for you to do. So it looks like you're on 13 and 14 is what your dad told me. So let's look right here at this PowerPoint where that I have that this is going to be kind of like your lifeline right here. It's going to tell you what you're supposed to do. So because you're rotating, everything is rotating in this IXL lesson. So if you rotate it 180 degrees, you're going to multiply both the X and the Y coordinate by -1. So if they're negatives, they're going to become positives. If they're positives, they're going to become negatives. If it's a 90 degrees clockwise, you're going to multiply just the X coordinate by -1. Then you're going to flip the coordinates. So instead of it being XY, it'll then be YX. And then 90 degrees counterclockwise, you're going to multiply the Y coordinates by -1 and then switch them. So let's look back here at our IXL. So this one says that, oops, hold on. There we go. The point R -1, 6 is rotated 180 degrees counterclockwise around the origin. So if we come back over here, 180 degrees says we're going to multiply them both by -1. So if we look back over on IXL, then this one says we're going to multiply both of them by -1. So this -1 is going to become a +1, and this +6 is going to become a -6. Okay, so this one is rotated 270 degrees counterclockwise around the origin. So when you see 270 degrees counterclockwise, what that means is it's 90 degrees clockwise, because it's going to go, if it's 270 degrees counterclockwise would be like over here, and over here, which over here is going to be 90 degrees clockwise. So we're going to look at that. So 90 degrees clockwise says multiply the X coordinate by -1, then switch them. So that means our Y is going to stay the same. So we're going to multiply our X coordinate by negative. So 3 is going to become -3, but it moves into the Y space and not the X anymore, which means that 6 is where 6 is going to go. This is our X coordinate right here. This is our Y coordinate. So our Y coordinate is going to become X now, and this one's going to be multiplied by -1 and move to the Y. Okay, so this one's 90 degrees clockwise. Hopefully you can understand that. I'm going to jump to ones that have a little bit different shape here. So this one is write the coordinate of the vertices. So you're going to have to, let me scroll down a little bit here if I can to, okay, there we go. So it's rotating 90 degrees counterclockwise. So hopefully you remember that counterclockwise is we're going to multiply the Y coordinates by -1 and then switch them. So that means our X's are going to stay the same, but then they're going to move into the Y category here. So we know that if our Y coordinates, which I wish I could draw on this, but if our Y coordinates are going to stay the same, they're now going to be our X's. So this is going to be 0. Oh, I'm sorry, hold on. We're multiplying because it's counterclockwise. We're multiplying our Y coordinates by -1 and then switching them. So these ones says that counterclockwise. So these ones our X's are going to stay the same. So that means we're going to come over here and put 10, 10, and 3 because they need to switch spots. So all of these right here, these ones need to switch spots and they need to move into this. Now all of these are going to switch from positives to negatives, but we don't need to switch 0 because 0 is already 0. It's neither positive nor negative. And then this one becomes -9. Okay, so this one's 270 degrees counterclockwise. So hopefully you remember, if we're going counterclockwise, that means we're going to go 90 degrees clockwise. So we're going to do this one. So multiply the x coordinates by -1 and then switch them. So if we come over here, we're going to look at our y coordinates are going to stay the same because we're going to be multiplying our x's by negatives. So our y's are going to move into here, 2, 4, and 6. And over here, it's going to become -5, -5, and -8 because we've switched them to negatives. Okay. So I think that's the last thing. I don't know how far she told you, but probably not into the challenge zone, but it would be the same thing. So that is the video for P13 in 8th grade. And then let's go to P14. Okay, so P14 is congruent statement. So this is what we're looking at right here is we're going to match up the degrees, because that means, like this one here, G is 63 degrees. So G matches up with X. So that means that I matches up with Y, and then H matches up with W. We're looking at the degrees. The degrees tell us what degrees match together. So in this case, you have to write this statement as matching up the angles. So the first one is angle I is 38 degrees. So we have to put Y first because Y is 38 degrees. Then H is 79 and W is 79. So we're going to put W, and then we can end with G and X because we have to match up the angles for them to be congruent. Okay, so this one is a little bit bigger than before. So what corresponding parts of the figure below? Select all that apply. Okay, so let's look at this one. J to K and X to U. So J to K we have right here is 19, and it's saying X to U. Well, X to U is the right one, because remember we have L and V match up, K and U, then X and J, W and M. So we know that, yep, J to K is going to match up with X and U. And then this says angle K, so angle K is 74 degrees. Does it match up with U at 74 degrees? Yep, yes it does. Now M here is 67 degrees. Does it match up with W at 67? Yep, it does. And K to L is this 18 degrees here. Does it match up with U and V over here? Yep, it does. So all of those are the correct ones. So this one just takes some time looking at, but we can look at the angle measures. We have G over here at 44 degrees, matches up with Q, and then H matches up with N, E matches up with O, and F matches up with P. So we're looking at just congruent statements here. So if this says angle F matches with Q, angle F is 94 degrees, Q is 44, so they do not match up, so we're not going to highlight that one. This one, F to G right here, 23 degrees, and P to Q right here. So we know that G to F has to match up with Q to P because it's 94 and 44, these 2 degrees right here. So yes, those two do match up. What about this one? E to F and N to O. So E to F is 12, N to O is 8. So nope, these ones do not match up because F is 94 degrees, which would match up with P. So we know that that one does not work either. Angle G is 44 and Q is 44. So yep, those match up. So we can submit, and there we go. Okay, hopefully that makes more sense to you. This one's kind of the same thing, the same type of problem where we know that F matches up with I, E matches up with J, D and K, and C and H. So if we look at DC, DC right here says JK. So DC and JK, those ones don't match up because DC is 104 and 136, and this is 70 and 136. So we can cancel that one out. Then this one, DC and KH, which is right here. So yep, those ones do match up, 136 and 104. So those ones are a congruent statement. And then CF right here, 104 to 51, and then to KH. So no, those ones don't match up because we know that KH matches up with DC, that one here. So angle C is 104 and angle I is 51. Those ones don't match up either. So that would be the only one. All right, so hopefully that makes more sense on those two. Let me know if you have any questions. But yeah, hopefully that makes more sense.